Hi, welcome to this part of my review featuring Legacy of the Cage, the Gauntlet. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this dice-powered mixed martial arts action fighting game, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to continue taking a look at the actions that a fighter can carry out during each segment of a fight. We continue with Taunt. A fight is as much a mind game as it is a physical test. Some fighters like to stick their necks out in flamboyant ways to demoralize their enemies. If you've seen a particularly cocky brawler drop his hands and offer his chin, take a bit to flash a bring it gesture, or turn away to pander to the crowd mid-battle, you know what a taunt looks like. Set your taunt check target odds by subtracting your opponent's mind score from your mind score. If you succeed, you earn a bonus on the next action check you make. If you critically succeed, you earn an even greater bonus on the next action check you make, and your opponent may not take the evade action in the following segment. If you fail, you earn no bonuses. This bonus carries over if the next segment follows a break. When it comes to taunting from the bottom, your cockiness doesn't play as well when you're on your back fighting for your life. You may still attempt to toy with your opponent's mind, but you must do so at a penalty when in the bottom position. Yes, taunting from the bottom is not exactly advisable. Just take a look at what happened to the Gracies when they fought Sakuraba, the Gracie hunter. I will put a video in the description featuring some highlights from those fights. When it comes to stalling, when you take the taunt or evade actions 3 or more consecutive segments, not counting breaks, your opponent earns 1 match point for the 3rd consecutive segment. Your opponent earns an additional cumulative point for every segment thereafter. Let's talk about submission attempts. When the fight gets technical on the ground, fighters turn to submission attempts and use their grappling stat to try to force their opponents to tap out with a joint lock or choke hold. The fighter on top rolls his submission attempt normally, as he would any other action check. Subtract the opponent's grappling stat from their own grappling stat and use the result to establish target odds. When it comes to submissions from the bottom, the fighter on the bottom who wants to try for a submission must roll his or her submission attempt at a disadvantage to their check. Submissions from the bottom are harder to set up and pull off, so this penalty reflects the increase in difficulty for that position. When it comes to gassing, when you take either the strike, submission, or takedown attempt action in 3 consecutive segments, you suffer 1 point of durability damage. This damage applies as though you have suffered durability damage normally. For each consecutive segment you take that same action, you suffer an additional cumulative point of durability damage. Damage suffered to critical durability in this way does not force you to make a minor injury check. It may cause you to lose by referee's stoppage. Apply gassing damage after applying any other damage suffered that segment. When it comes to standing up, a fighter in the top position when the fight is on the ground may opt to let the opponent stand up. Usually, this is because the fighter feels an advantage when fighting in the stand-up position. Perhaps the fighter is not a strong grappler and prefers to carry out the fight with strikes. When the fighter chooses to stand up, the fighter chooses a transition to the standing position unless the opponent succeeds on a submission attempt or reversal. When a fighter chooses to stand up, the fighter's opponent rolls the action check without a positional disadvantage. If the check on a submission attempt or reversal succeeds, the fighter who stood up gets jammed in the move and is unable to regain his or her feet. Standing up affords an opponent a more equitable moment of opportunity, so use the action wisely. If your opponent chooses an escape while you also take the stand-up action, the fight automatically transitions to the standing position and neither fighter is awarded a match point. You earn no match points for taking the stand-up action. Use this stand-up action when you are sure you can take advantage on your feet and are not behind on match points. Repeatedly running from deadly strikers or submission masters can land you in a compromising situation. Let's talk about escape. When the fighter on bottom has had enough, he may want to scramble to get away and stand back up to a neutral position. He does so by using the escape action. The escape pits his wrestling stat against his opponent's wrestling stat. You earn a match point for a successful escape. You do not earn a match point for attempting an escape when the other fighter takes this stand-up action. Now, when it comes to reversal, being on the bottom in a scrap is not the best place to be for most fighters. It's a defensive position, and defending for too long leaves open the possibility of getting caught in a finishing combination. When the fighter on the bottom wants to try to turn the tables and gain the higher ground, the fighter attempts a reversal using the grappling stat. The fighter subtracts the opponent's grappling stat from his own to set the target odds. However, since the bottom position is considered a disadvantage, you do this at a penalty to the check. Grapplers with a big grappling advantage enjoy higher reversal rates even with the penalty. Now, when it comes to fouls, a foul occurs when a fighter commits an egregious or dangerous rules infraction while attempting an action. In a live MMA match, fouls look like eye pokes, crotch kicks, low blows, knees to the head of a downed opponent, and so forth. If the result of your action check is 100, you've committed a foul and the referee deducts a match point from your score at the end of this segment. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part, we are going to talk about transitions, winning the match, and other details. I really like the balance of somewhat streamlined gameplay with realistic details. I like the way that you suffer penalties or perhaps advantages depending on your position, and the way that you run out of breath or that you end up potentially tiring yourself out if attacking non-stop with no clear strategy or not applying tactics depending on what your opponent is doing is also quite realistic, in my opinion, quite the accurate representation within the abstract system of what actually can happen during a fight. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.